Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, your favorite Star Trek rewatch podcast. My name is Caitlin, and with me today are...
Jake!
Cold.
What?
I'll explain
I
later.
think you said cold.
I
Okay.
did.
Good.
Captain Cold?
Ames. Why?
Because even though happily it is never said in the episode,
Oh, that's right.
the fucking convicts are apparently named Stone, Cold,
And Steve
and
Austin?
Psycho.
Oh.
And it's like, I really hope their intent was just, we have to call them something for the script, but we're not supposed to believe those were their nicknames, because that's just dumb.
No, I'm sure that's the case, because they weren't on screen. It wasn't stated in the episode.
No, I know. But the problem is, because of the way the internet works, that is just now canonically their names.
Well, for me, they're Stone Cold and Steve Austin.
That is fair.
Yeah, that's better than whatever the fuck. Psycho?
Yes.
Well, we haven't even made it to the summary yet, and we're already interrupting with tangents, so it's going to be a
announced what
good
episode it is.
Well, everyone, it's episode 371.
Woo!
Boo, 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 boo. All right, I'm the only one that likes that. It's fine. Fuck everybody else. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. Okay, we're back again to discuss Season 1, Episode 3 of Disco. Context is for kings, and it's actually like the most straightforward episode of the entire series, so here we go. All right, Michael is on a transport shuttle. She's about to have some consequences for her actions. Nope! Just kidding! There's some kind of alien space bloodsucker who's sucking all the electricity out of their shuttle. So she and her fellow prisoners are taken by the Discovery. I think this is probably where the show gets its name. Am I right? Discovery?
No, I don't know. It'll come up later.
Okay.
You'll understand.
All right, great. So, we're picked up by the Discovery, and we meet Captain Lorca, which, as we all know, is French for the orca. And,
wow, Caitlin's on today.
oh, yeah, no. Got him!
The problem is, I'm now picturing an orca in a beret with one of those little pencil mustaches and a cigarette.
And a glass of wine, and some cheese, and a baguette.
Sometimes I wish Chris didn't have a mind's eye. There are people that don't.
I don't.
Really?
I see words.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, I hate it. I wish that I could, if I think really hard,
Yeah.
I can picture, an apple. The faces of people I love. But I wish I could do that more easily. Because it's kind of a bummer sometimes. Anyway, so also, did you know that orcas are actually part of the dolphin family?
I do.
Yeah. Well,
Literally everybody knows that game.
I just learned it.
Wow.
I had no idea until a week ago.
You clearly never watched... I don't know. There used to be... That was like Free Willy? Was that a thing?
I watched Free
Did
Willy.
they bring that up in Free
I have
Willy?
no idea.
They didn't. Maybe it came up in, what was that documentary that got Shamu
Blackfish?
canceled? Yeah, that's it. Maybe it
Oh,
was in
yeah. I didn't see that, though.
Anyway.
I don't know how
Anyway.
I know it.
Lorca.
Shamu was canceled.
So, we meet Lorca, and he's got some weird eye problem that, he's, something about the light in space. We don't really know, but he's like, hey, Burnham, I'm a big fascist, and on my ship, when I've got resources, I use them, so you're gonna work for me while we get your shuttle fixed. And she's like, oh, I'd rather not. And he's like, I don't give a fuck what you want. And she's like, oh. So, awkwardly, however, the first officer of this ship is none other than Saru, and he is not happy to see us, not one bit.
The sassiest he's been.
I love it. It's because he's been hanging with Stamets. Speaking of Stamets, while she's on the Discovery, Michael's going to be hanging out with Stamets in engineering. He gets her to do some, coding and shit. He treats her like crap. It's fine. And we find out that he and his, he's got a friend. This is like a science ship. Wow, did I say this was straightforward? I meant, for not me, to explain. So, Discovery is one of two ships that are working on a top secret mission. And it turns out that Stamets' buddy has just had a big breakthrough. He's over on the Glen, the friendship, if you know what I mean. And, yeah, that's right.
I don't know what you mean.
It's a friend.
Your
friend is on the ship. It's a friendship.
Oh, I thought it was a Glen thing.
No. It's a.
Does Glen mean orca in French or something?
I'm pretty sure it's named after John Glenn, the astronaut.
Speak friend and whatever.
Glenn.
It's a Glenn ship. Anyway, he's like, hey, guess what? I made a big breakthrough. And Samus is like, oh my god, how? Almost literally. And the next thing we know, the fucking Glenn is blown up, and we're going to go see what happened.
They
That was big Ryan George energy.
That breakthrough went wrong real fast.
They wish they'd been blown up. That would have been a much kinder
Yeah,
thing.
I know
That
it
was
is.
some Philadelphia experiment shit.
Before we go find the Glen, though, I think we have our first black alert, which doesn't yet have the cool filters on it that make it sound good, so it's just black alert, and it's lame. But the walls get wet. It's really weird. Oh, and we meet Michael's new roommate. The very
We're
divisive.
doing the synopsis backwards today.
Yeah, it's cool.
Fascinating.
Time means nothing. We meet Tilly, who's a very divisive character, and I now remember why, because in the beginning she is so fucking annoying. She's kind of like me. She has ADHD. She never shuts up.
It doesn't get better, though.
I think it does. I like
Well,
Tilly.
You didn't watch season 5.
Yeah,
That's
we'll see,
true,
We'll
I
see what
didn't.
happens.
Anyway, so we're going to the Glen, and we're gonna see what happened, and holy shit, everyone's dead. And not just...
Inside Out.
It exploded. So not only is everyone dead, but there's also a whole shitload of dead Klingons, and they've just been cleaved through like a hot butter through knife, I almost said.
A hot
knife-
batleth through Targ.
Exactly. Like a hot batleth through cold Targ. So we're gonna figure
Targ
out
is a dish best served cold.
I've heard that. Probably still alive. Klingons are freaks. Sorry, no offense to any Klingon listeners. It was just some humor. Anyway, and this actually is we'll talk about it later, but this is the best scene because it's really tense. We got horror movie vibes. There's something running around the halls. We don't know what it is. Everybody's dead. We gotta collect this shit real quick. Oh no, there's a Klingon who's still alive. Oh, holy shit, no, now he's dead. Something got him. And the something that got him is a giant fucking tardigrade. I don't think we know that yet, but whatever, you'll figure. I mean, you can kind of know it by looking at it.
A monster alien.
It's a big monster alien. Kind of looks like a tardigrade. Anybody else notice it looks a little bit like a tardigrade?
A little bit.
It's kind of weird. And this is our, it would be really cool if he would stick around because I think we need a pet on this show. But yeah, he can just tear through fucking metal and fuck shit up. But thankfully, our intrepid crew is able to get the information they needed and some special equipment off the ship and themselves, which is most important. Maybe not to Lorca. And then they blow the motherfucking ship up. And Lorca's like, Michael, you did a great job, and I'm going to act like I know you for some reason, which is really weird, and tell you how you actually are, even though you're telling me that that's not who you are. And you're on my ship now.
When someone tells you who they are, you tell them right back that they're somebody else.
Exactly. You gaslight that person until they're the person you want them to be.
There you go.
And then we close on two things. One, our space monster is our new pet, because we got him in a containment cell thing, and he seems to not be able to batleth his way through that. And fucking, what is she even? The security officer?
Landry?
Yeah.
Bitch.
What is she?
She definitely stomps on Lorca's balls.
But is
Yeah.
she?
That was a cutscene.
Okay, that's not what I'm asking. What is her position?
Chief of
Security.
security.
Chief of security.
Well, that's what I was asking. Nobody
That's what she
answered me.
said.
No, Ames
Oh,
did.
sorry,
Oh,
I took the card before you could read it.
It's okay. It's yeah. I mean, I'm an asshole. Anyway, Landry is like, anything, anytime, anywhere, Lorca, really creepily, and I'm like, girl, I mean, I'm thirsty for him too, but damn. Anyway, that's the episode.
You left out her little phone booth journey.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
I almost said that, you know?
What are you talking about?
Oh,
When-
right,
when
yeah,
he
I
sticks,
forgot about the mycelium.
because
There's a
she
whole bunch of
Oh, yeah,
mycelium.
that phone booth.
Yeah, she thinks he's asking her to develop a weapon, and he's like, no, it's a way to get around.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then
Like,
he-
look at all the places we could go.
Yeah, here's a TOS ass city, which I appreciated.
But most of them looked awful.
Hang
Like,
on, so
here,
what-
go to Romulus.
Yeah, one of
I
them
don't want
looked
to.
suspiciously like the mining colony from where No Man Has Gone before. And I was like, I wonder if that was deliberate.
Probably.
So what was actually happening in that scene, in the look at all the places mycelium can bring you scene?
I think she was tapping into the mycelium
Was
network.
it like a tour guide brochure?
I think it was just
Or was
showing
she
her.
going
No, I don't
there?
think she was going there. I think it was just showing her the places. That,
With what technology?
Space magic.
Yeah, that's the thing. The mycelial. We'll get more about mycelial network later in the show, but
So much
the
more.
thing about the mycelium network and the whole mycelium plot is it's just magic. Like they don't even pay lip service to this might be science.
It's physics as biology.
Right.
Jake.
Oh, of course, naturally. So like Star Trek frequently has crazy advanced technology, and it's like, okay, we'll make it sound scientific by talking about warp bubbles and antimatter.
Yeah,
this.
I feel like The Last of Us does more with the mycelial network than this show in terms of explaining how it works.
Well, because theirs actually is just biology as biology, then
and this one,
brought to an
Stamets is like,
extreme.
every science is physics, and every physics is every other science. And what? Stamets, what are you on?
The connection to...
Mycelium, man.
Apparently.
Oh, and we didn't mention, but Paul Stamets is a famous IRL mycologist.
Yes.
The character in the show is named after him.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody knows that, Jake.
Well, no. I know everyone knows it, but I want to mention it.
Yeah, I mean...
whales. Baby fucking whales.
The baby fucking wheel, Jay!
They definitely fall back on, if we throw enough technobabble at it, maybe we'll confuse people. Like...
Oh, it's the early stages of that. It gets so much worse.
I know fuck all about science, so when they're like, at the quantum level, all science is the same science. And I go, sure, fucking why not? That might be true for all I know.
Like a balloon and something bad happens.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. Here's my stance on this episode.
Your Stamets on
my
this
Stamets
episode.
on this episode.
I was thinking
this episode works phenomenally as a series premiere introduction.
Are you saying that we would skip episodes 1 and 2 entirely and start here?
I think we start here, and then maybe is like either a television movie or like a mid-season menagerie type deal.
I was gonna say flashbacks.
We do some kind like
court martial.
Yeah.
We show all the evidence in this court martial.
Yeah, like something like let's go back to that so we understand where we came from. But I just think if you totally forget that you'd seen the first 2 episodes, all we get from this episode is we have this character who's a mutineer, because we get that exposition is given to us in the first 30 seconds.
6 or 7 times.
So many
when
times,
she's still on the prison transport. And then when she gets to the Discovery, everyone fucking hates her. And like we clearly know that like, oh, she knows this Fishman go way back, and he obviously hates her. Fucking robot head lady.
Who gets a name now?
Kayla. Kayla clearly hates her. And
wait, did they only say her first name?
They only say her first name.
Wow, poor Detmer. One day, Detmer, you'll get a line.
You'll get a name and a line. Yeah, so... And also, like, speaking of which, I know she's got this, like, cybernetic thing on her face. Mm-hmm. I had convinced myself that was an injury from Battle of Binary Stars. But having rewatched Battle of Binary Stars, she never gets injured on screen. So what's this fucking thing?
Well, there's been 6 months of war.
I guess. So. But I always thought it was like, oh man, she hates Michael because Michael got her mutilated.
Yeah, admittedly, I always thought that too, so.
I was surprised when we watched that and she doesn't get blasted in the face.
Mutineer and mutilation, do they both have the same root note? I bet they do. Or root word?
I have no idea.
I bet they do.
I mean, she was right next to Connor when his console exploded. It could have been that there was, internal injury that was not obvious, maybe dealt with later.
Yeah, I mean, I think a shot of... If they knew, which they must have known when they were filming Battle of Binary Stars...
I don't know if they did.
That this
I don't trust these writers.
Like, this would have been the makeup for this character going forward. Mm. They could have at least, like, just showed her with a bleeding head wound or something. But whatever. But yeah, no, I think this episode... Because it's cool. It's a cool episode.
Yeah, it introduces us to some of the actual characters you're going to see throughout the season instead of people that are killed after the first bit. It does a
great job with the mystery box shit, I think. The whole...
It teases, yeah.
It teases so well. The black alert, it's like, okay, what the fuck is this? And like the weird shit happening. Now, whether or not the payoff will be worth that... whether it's whether they're gonna pay the debts that they're building up with the mystery box is remain to be seen. But taken just on its own, like I was hooked on this episode. I'm like, this is really fucking cool. And then the mystery of the Glen and the monster, it's all very interesting.
Well, what's good too is like I think one of the failings you have with these fucking mystery box setups so frequently is like. You just keep getting questions, and then it's all revealed. Mm. This is already doing the job of like, all right, so at the end of the episode, obviously we don't know everything, but we now know that this is actually some sort of transport initiative. It's not a weapon, it's transit, it's a new engine. So we're getting a little bit different. Like, they're letting stuff gradually spool out.
Yeah,
whereas,
they're rewarding the audience instead of, like you said, piling up the questions, because then you get a season finale that's fucking exhausting next season.
So, like, I mean, again, whether or not it pays off is up to the viewer, but it's a little easier, I think, to have, you haven't left them just all season waiting for everything. And I think that's how you're, like, setting yourself up for failure. Because unless the ending is as explosive as they've had all season to imagine, you're fucked. Whereas if you're, not leaking, if you're letting out little bits of information here and there, letting stuff build up.
Like a treat. Yeah,
you prevent the audience from, like, over-imagining.
Yeah.
And so I think you can therefore have a more subdued conclusion that doesn't, like... You're not setting yourself up for as big expectations.
It was kind of a, I guess you call it a comedy moment when they're on the Glen and that Klingon comes out and goes, shh, and then is immediately eaten by the monster.
Did that Klingon just
shush you?
Yeah.
It's not something you expect from a Klingon.
Yeah, that's the other thing about
they
this
probably
show.
just thought they were trying to talk, like, with all the fucking lispy teeth.
There is...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there is so little levity to this show. And, I know, like, it's been compared and contrasted to ways that you can't even anymore with the Orville that was also coming out at the same time. I think the Orville actually beat them by a week in terms of when it started coming
familiar,
out.
Yeah.
In that people were like, yeah, but we want to, like, let the tension off once in a while, and they watched the Orville for that. And Discovery is this other thing that's just so dark. And even though, like, it's dark in Lorca's room for one reason, why is the rest of the show so fucking dark? God damn it.
Because Lorca needs to wander around the ship. I don't know why you can't just get sunglasses.
Why was it so dark on the Shenzhou? He wasn't there.
That would have been hilarious. Is it just whenever he wasn't in his office, he just put sunglasses on?
Right. They have to be like the Peas-Nez style that just clip to the...
Oh, like Morpheus.
Yeah, that just clip to the nose.
He could have pulled that look off.
I think so.
It would add to his weird douchebag air. This, by the way, is where my thesis begins to form with, like, apologizing for Enterprise. Because it's like, all right. And again, if we look at Enterprise's third season as the Star Trek 9/11 response, this is them going... not we, because it's a whole new creative team. It's like, they fucked up. It's like, so basically, war has come to the Federation. It's a dark time. And instead of maybe doing what they should do, they're putting their faith in a giant asshole. Just like they put all their faith in Archer back in the day.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't think Star Trek folk think they fucked up with Enterprise. I think they're writing a new story in a new way. Which is fine, which is good.
Yeah.
It's possible, story. But again, it is a whole new creative team. So they can possibly think... Rick Berman fucked up back in the
Have they
day.
ever said this?
I don't know or care. I'm interpreting
but you're speaking for them.
Well, what I mean is...
You can't speak for their intent.
My interpretation, then, is whether or not they meant it, they are doing something that could be read as an apology for that era.
By you.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it's their sort of attempt to sort of, like, this is how Star Trek should have responded to trauma. Because, I think a lot of this show is about trauma response, even if it's not necessarily about that specific trauma.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm intrigued by the character of Lorca. He strikes me as he's got kind of a Ben Sisko thing, for lack of a better term. Like, he's a wartime captain, and he's willing to do the dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
To tell this science crew, I know you want a science, but we have to science for war right now.
Yeah.
He definitely seems to enjoy it more, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can't, like... He would not delete the log at the end of Pale Moonlight, you know?
Yeah.
He would broadcast
He'd be like, hey, check out the shit I did.
Yeah, like Ben, there's that one episode where Ben talks about, like, always reading the casualty lists.
Yeah.
To remind him how bad everything is. Lorca has a Gorn skeleton in a glass locker.
Yeah, he's also, yeah.
He is a sick man.
What does he do to that tribble that's always on his desk?
You don't want to know.
That probably just eats his
Pats.
fortune cookies.
He pats.
Yeah.
Oh god, speaking of the fortune cookies, I have a great note. Where is it? Isaacs had to eat hundreds of fortune cookies for filming that scene. And considering I think we only see him eat like one. Fucking how, Jason Isaacs?
Here's the thing. Fortune cookies are
delicious.
fucking delicious.
I love a fortune cookie.
And if you put a bowl of fortune cookies in front of me...
Oh, we gotta refill Isaacs' bowl again!
I would eat them all. I don't know why... somebody hasn't invented just like non-fortune cookies, like just like wafer shaped that just come like.
Well, and they come out wafer shaped too, because
I know, and then they're folded.
But see,
right?
I
Exactly.
argue part of the joy of them though is the shape.
Well, even so,
They can be
No,
empty
the
then.
shape-
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the shape, and I don't give a shit about the fortune. It's just waste. It's just trash to me. Just give me the goddamn cookie because they're fucking delicious.
Well,
Yeah,
if
no,
you
I-
got them in a wafer shape too, you wouldn't have to individually wrap them like that.
Just like in a pack of Chips Ahoy or whatever.
Well, I think even if you kept the shape, you could just put them all in a bag like.
They don't crumble to nothing.
Yeah,
You
they
end up
break.
with lots of crumbs.
Well, not that the thin plastic cellophane is
Oh,
really
here's
stopping
what you
that
do.
from happening. I don't know.
Okay, fucking business idea.
All right, I'm in.
Serious business idea. We go to the company that makes fortune cookies. Surely that company must have oodles of fortune cookies that get broken during manufacture, right? So those probably just get discarded, right? We bag them like potato chips.
And eat them ourselves.
And we sell them as
Oh.
fortune pieces or fortune chips.
Pieces
or
of fortune.
Pieces of fortune. There it is. And
I think we should workshop that, but yes.
I think that's whatever. But I think we approach a fortune cookie manufacturer with this idea.
Well, the Lorca family, clearly.
The Lorcas. I think I read like an article about like there's like a couple of companies that make all the fortune cookies.
I'd believe it.
They're based
Here's
in
the thing.
California.
If we approach the people that make the fortune cookies with this idea, they're going to be like, yeah, it's a great idea. We'd love to work with you. And then they're going to steal the idea.
Well, that's why we got to patent it. Throw a patent on that idea.
Fortune
Fortune
can
cookie
you do
chip.
that?
Patent? Sure, why not? I don't know.
Well, we better do that before this episode comes out.
What's funny too is when I remember seeing this on a special years ago. Yes, back when the History Channel actually occasionally talked about real history, and it was the history
Aliens.
of Chinese food in America and how it's all very Americanized and a lot of stuff made up by white people. And when the fortune cookie was finally introduced in China, it was billed as the genuine American fortune cookie.
Funny.
Do they like them?
I don't know.
I also thought so. The beginning when just the fact that Isaac's Lorca, fuck me, has this connection to fortune cookies. Cute detail, liked it.
Mm-hmm.
When they bring it back again at the end, and he gives her a fortune cookie, and is like, "Let's see where your fortune brings you." Fucking goddamn it!
They're like, oh, this is why they put those fortune cookies
And
in
I wrote
there.
the best line. So this episode is called "Context is for Kings." I wrote "Subtext is for Kings."
I think it would have been hilarious though if she had opened the fortune cookie and it said like, "You should join the ship." But it's like clearly handwritten.
Captain, this is pen. Noted. Or she opens it and it's like, you'll find happiness with a new love. Cut to chef, their chef, like, hey, we're out of those new loved ones. Oh, open the stick with your wife barrel. We got our title ship, and it's here, and it's based off of a Ralph McQuarrie drawing that I think they had to get permission to use. I can't remember. I meant to
Well,
look
they
that up.
shouldn't have got permission to use it because they should have just thrown it in the trash.
Oh, you're
'Cause
wrong.
I hate that shit.
Oh, I love
Do you really? I like how flat it is.
I don't.
Yeah.
I hate how the engineering section is so flat and broad. It just doesn't sit right
It's
with me.
cool.
Disagree, but
different.
we can all have opinions.
But yes, for those who perhaps don't know, this is based on a design Ralph McQuarrie did for...
Everyone knows this.
Well...
Even more people know this than they know about orcas.
for the...
Please, the French. Lorca.
the 70s revival series that would become the motion picture. It's funny, he went off, he worked for Star Wars for a while, and when he came back, he said, hey, what about triangles? And they went, that's okay, Ralph. But then 40 years later, they went, what about triangles?
But the saucer section now is a ring. They got rings.
Yeah,
ringworm.
that's the interesting thing. I
No,
remember when they
no.
first unveiled the design, it was not quite final. They had a whole YouTube video showing it floating out of a space dock. And it was still a single saucer. But where there's a gap now, there was sort of like almost fan blades. And I imagine that probably would have rotated.
I mean, I can understand because it's supposed to be a fast ship, as Lorca was explaining, because you can travel vast distances over very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Leap tall buildings.
I'm assuming that the gap, the rings and the gaps between them are for improved aerodynamics.
Yeah.
It's speed rings.
Yeah.
And you paint it on, make the ship go faster.
They're going to paint on flames on the side.
I mean, I guess if we look at the history, even though this is a prequel, but still, the visual language of Star Trek as a franchise, not necessarily an in-world thing. Science ships are where they decide to go kind of weird, because look at the fucking nightmare that is the...
Castor.
That too. I was going to say the Oberth class.
Oh, no, the Oberth nightmare. It's so cute.
Yes, but how do you get to the engineering section?
Very
Spiral
carefully.
slide.
So yeah, Starfleet has fun with its science shows. Hey, do you want to give this one rings? Why? Why the fuck not?
I think it would have been cool because also the bridge section is just like a ball.
Yeah,
in
which
the
is
middle
fun.
of the rings, like a bullseye.
Yep.
I think it'd be cool if that could drop out as an independent.
Oh,
ship.
that's smart.
They could just
because otherwise, like it's literally a bullseye. Like they're gonna target that thing immediately.
But it'd be cool if wouldn't it be neat if instead of just saucer separation, they could separate the engineering Delta ship, but then each of the rings could also function independently as a thing.
That's some what's it level shit.
Daedalus class.
Yes, thank you. From
Dreadnought.
No, the Daedalus class was from was the transwarp ship that Ray Weiss.
Oh yeah,
Which was the one that could come apart.
That's from the
letter message in a bottle.
Yeah, with Andy Dick
Dick
and all that. It had the try something vector
the
attack.
multi-vector attack.
My brain is saying Prometheus, but I don't think
it
that's
might have been Prometheus.
It was. I think so.
My brain tells me many things.
I'm just going to look it up because
things.
it's the future and I can. But yeah, I think I think you're right. I think it's the USS Prometheus.
That sounds right.
And Bob.
But yeah, wouldn't that be neat? Maybe
it would.
So
Prometheus.
Speaking of the tribble,
good fucking pull.
So we mentioned that Lorca has a little tribble that lives on his desk.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier, I think it was Saru or somebody was explaining that the ship can have many
300
discrete
experiments, and considering
it's a Starfleet record, man.
I have a feeling that Stamets is doing his research on mushrooms. But literally,
he's doing his research.
He's on
mushrooms.
He's on mushrooms doing research.
It's both,
on mushrooms. But I am gonna say that somewhere else there's another scientist on this ship that's working on tribbles as a weapon, which will eventually be deployed, and which is the origin of the Klingons' hatred of tribbles, because Earth genetically engineered these little animals to reproduce and annoy the fuck out of Klingons.
But yeah, so we got our characters. We got Lorca. We've got Stamets, who
grumpiest Gus.
Oh boy, which I mean, you get it though. He's
I
kind
get
of
it, but
like
I
Carol.
don't like him, and I never will.
Oh, I love him, and
He grows on me.
Because
he lightens
he's
up.
mad because his shit got taken by the government to wage war.
Yeah, but you don't take it out on the new person.
But she's not the new person.
True.
She's a fucking mutineer. She's not the new person. She's fucking Starfleet's lowest form of life.
You do get the sense he's probably like that to everybody.
He just seems like a prick. He gives a big prick vibes.
Yeah,
but I can understand because, like you say, he feels like his research has been co-opted into something that he didn't want.
Well, only because it has been.
Like I said, it's the Carol Marcus thing where she's afraid of the military moving in, but he made the mistake of working for them to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
But he also signed up during peacetime, so.
Yeah. But he does seem like a prick.
Yeah. And I feel like he lightens up over the years.
Maybe.
Yeah, they make a point, and I didn't realize how they drew your attention directly to it. I thought it was going to be if you notice it, you'll notice it thing. But nope, it's oh look, they have black comm badges because it's supposed to be Section 31.
Yeah.
Did that come up?
It comes up later.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, I thought that happened in a later episode. I forgot it was this early.
Season 2.
Fucking Section 31.
No, sorry, I meant the scene
shit.
where the guy specifically... I remember someone...
I've never seen black badges before.
Yeah, I remembered someone pointing the badge out, but I thought it was in a later episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just read the synopsis, and it was oh yeah, the black badges are this. And I was oh man, I have to keep my eye out. Oh, they're literally pointing me and right at it and saying, look at the black badges. Thanks, episode.
Yeah. They were,
You're saying that they put you on black alert?
Yes.
Yeah, they, like you said, not great at subtlety.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Not great at subtlety, such as Stamets talking to, you're my best friend guy on the Glen. We know everything about each other, right? Yeah, we do. Terrible dialogue. Terrible.
It was really bad.
D-.
And it was they wanted to show you that they were friends because Stamets was aw, how? It's
Oh no, my best friend!
You're the one person I'm not a jerk to.
Something else to blame Burnham for.
I have a question. At this time, is Stamets married?
Yes.
Okay.
We just haven't met the character yet.
Okay. So we're not fucking this friend.
No.
Okay.
He might be. We don't know.
I mean,
That's
maybe they get
true.
maybe they
Because
get
they've been working
into
together
the
for like
phone,
15 years or something.
Maybe
he
they get
said.
into the phone booth on each respective ships.
It's called docking.
Oh no.
Oh,
Did they use the clamps?
Oh,
Jesus.
did they?
that big harness that they found in the phone booth on the Glen.
Yeah, that's for sexy times.
So Tilly's
Sexy
here
mycelium
too.
Times. Ugh, don't ruin my sexy times with first episode Tilly.
I forgot. Like I kind of remembered. Like I remember, like, oh man, I remember she really annoyed me when she first showed. I'm like, oh right, they were really over the top
You know
with
what
her.
I need? If I'm sure this has probably been done, but if it hasn't, somebody's got to make the meme of it's the Pam from The Office with the two photos, and in one photo it'll be Sylvia Tilly, in the other photo it'll be Sonia Gomez.
Yes.
And they're the same picture
Because
they fucking are.
It's funny how often I forget she's not a mononym and that her name is Sylvia Tilly, not just
oh yeah, well
Tilly.
it never comes up again. I feel like, does it?
I find that like that's a problem with a lot of, especially like the female characters, in that they give them a last name that sounds like a first name. Like
Except
they
for
do
Michael, who they gave a first name that sounds.
Troy. They do it with so many of the characters, so you kind of forget like their first name and their last name are interchangeable-ish.
Yeah. I in a way that it's funny because like it's sort of it would make sense if it happened to everyone.
Tendi.
Because it's like, you know, in like military circles, you know, it's like, oh, commander this, commander that. So like, yeah, if you say forgot that Picard had a first name, but you said it tends to only happen to the women. Like
The women!
the male characters, like you never really think of Crusher as
Beverly.
Beverly. Jesus, I genuinely had to stop and think that was
I don't know. I feel like people treat her like only Beverly.
I don't know. I disagree. Because I mean, yes, but I don't think the women suffer from it any more than the male characters. Because same thing with like Riker. Everyone just refers to him as Riker. We know his first name is Will.
We know it's Bill.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah, you're right. But for me, it's funny because with Tilly at least, not necessarily anyone else, but I genuinely forget she has two names. Like,
yeah, you think
She's
they're,
Tilly.
they're
I think of her
referring
as
to
Tilly.
her as by her first name, and thus kind of like putting her down a little, like how we talk about Beverly Crusher. When we covered TNG on the podcast, we almost exclusively said Beverly when we talked
Or
about
just
Crusher.
Bev. I feel like we call her
we feel
Bev
very
sometimes.
familiar because she's so likable a character.
Well, yeah,
Well,
but it's also because she's a woman.
But I was gonna say, I agree that it's a woman thing though too, because like you'll notice, like, you know, it was, God, who am I thinking
Deanna.
of? Oh, Hillary versus Trump. It was always Hillary, not Clinton.
Same thing with Harris.
Yeah, Kamala versus Trump for sure. Yeah, so I think it's definitely a woman thing, but they also do tend to give them very feminized sounding last names.
Yeah,
except
that's
for Crusher.
Yeah, that's the other thing is Tilly does. It
Ball
sounds like it
Crusher.
could be a woman's first name.
Yeah, 100%. I think it in fact is a woman's first name.
Maybe it
Tilly.
has to do with like, because I don't know Landry's first name.
Ellen.
Does it come up, or do you just know it because you did a
I
Wikipedia?
also have one of her on timeline, so
Okay.
I'm very used to seeing
Yeah.
it.
I was gonna say-
So maybe it's selective which characters they do it with.
yeah, like
They do
it's,
it with the ones that they feminize the most, I think.
Yeah,
'cause
she's not super
Landry-
feminized.
Except for
She's
Kira.
Yeah. Like, Landry is a ball stomper from day one.
God, what a
but-
bitch.
Oh, big time.
Her garbage remark.
Should not be in Starfleet. Like,
Well-
regardless what you think of prisoners, you don't... Like, a Starfleet person does not call them garbage.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
but that's sort of the point, though, right? This isn't your normal
that's like
ship.
that's a Biden
That's a red
thing.
flag.
yeah, no, that's like, yeah, I should hope that the intent is you look at that and you go, that's weird.
Yeah, no, I mean they're definitely portraying her as a character that
Gotta
we will
feed the animals.
relish her death. I will say.
Oh, is she gonna die?
Inevitably, right? Like they can't have a character like that long term.
I'll say. But yeah, that's the thing is, and that's sort of just been kind of the tension within Starfleet throughout the history of the franchise. Is like they put on a show of being, oh, we're better than this, we're good with that, blah, blah, blah. But they always have a good-sized handful of pricks in reserve for when they need them.
Yeah.
Like Starfleet and that's why there's always work to be done, because until you stop keeping this handful of pricks around, you haven't actually achieved your goal.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before with even, like, DS9, like, it is clear from everything we hear from O'Brien that when the war was on with the Cardassians, there was no, like, no Starfleet idealism being thrown around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were taught to hate. They were never like, look, we're at war, but we're still gonna humanize the Cardassians. They taught him that
He's a
racism.
good friend.
They did nothing to dissuade that. So it's not, necessarily unique to this story. They're just dealing with it more up front because they're in the midst of the war, not in the aftermath like with TNG and the early days of DS9.
Getting back to Tilly.
Yes.
Because I think we strayed from Tilly.
I was going to say, speaking of names...
we're back on names. Okay, that's fine,
I have one exception that proves the rule.
Oh?
What's Nechayev's first name?
Give me a second. I know this.
I mean, I know it too, but the point is, she's always referred to as Nechayev.
It's like Ilana or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that
Something
sounds
like
right.
that. But it's not...
But she's an admiral.
Yeah, but she's also a ball buster. So.
Yeah, I was there's probably some sort of pattern, if we had the time to really sit and look at it, about, like you said, feminized versus, like, women that are just allowed to be people and not explicitly, like, feminine.
Yeah.
There's probably a masculinizing, for lack of a better term.
Like,
Troy doesn't
Uhura
really fit.
didn't have a first name until...
2009.
Yeah, basically. Until the novels, and then 2009
She was
said so.
feminized.
Oh.
Yeah, and?
Yeah.
Anyway, but you were saying Troy.
But also, a lot of the TOS characters, actually, Sulu didn't have a first
No,
name
also
until
true.
6. Like, they literally just did not come up with full names for a lot of them.
That's
So that's TOS is a little
strange
weird.
thing.
Anyway, yeah, sorry. Tilly.
Yeah, so she comes in, and the first thing we learn is she needs that certain bed because of her
Allergies.
special needs.
Yeah, that was a really
Weird choice of-
stupid choice of
Which
words.
is strange, because she comes in and she says, I wasn't allowed a roommate because of my special needs. And we're like, okay, where are we going with this? And she starts talking about her allergies, and it's like, that's not something that Starfleet could accommodate? What the fuck?
Well, I think
Well, it
that's
sounds
the
like they
point, is that
did.
they did, but...
Yeah.
She still
She had
snores.
hypoallergenic
But she
sheets.
still wasn't supposed to have a roommate. And then it's unclear to me, because I know she's incredibly coded for, like, autism.
Is she?
Bold.
She is. There's a lot of articles on the Tilly character and her special... What
See,
her
I'd say
special needs
Stamets
are.
is more coded.
But it's the Tilly character is very strange because they kind of shove it off and say, "Oh no, it's allergies." What?
I think you kind of wonder if it's like, they gave her the hypoallergenic stuff so she still doesn't snore, but unfortunately, because people are dicks, like, whoever she was getting assigned to would keep going, like, can I please switch? And eventually they was like, no, it's because of this, not because you drive people crazy. Because, yeah, like I do remember this first, I was like, oh, they are going too heavy with her. But I feel like I don't know if they cool off or if she just grew on me, but I remember she eventually grew on me. And it is kind of funny to actually finally have, like, because we've joked about this before, the fact that, like, for all of these people are, like, Starfleet people, like, cool and daring and action, like, at the heart of things, the kind of exams you have to pass to get into Starfleet, these people are all giant fucking dorks. Like, they are all super intelligent, so to actually just have, like, a big out-and-out nerd is, I don't know, kind of fun. It's like, yeah, they're nerds, and there is one of them. She's goofy. She's a person.
She's obnoxious.
Yeah, I like her. I mean, not right now.
I
Right
was
now
gonna say, I don't like her yet, but
she's
I
a
will.
little too much right now. But I also, again, can kind of relate, because I do one of two things in social situations when I don't know people well. I either barely say anything, or I talk way too much.
You don't talk way too much.
Yeah, you haven't seen me in some of these social interactions.
I mean, I've seen you in a lot of social interactions.
Chris talks way too much.
Oh, that's not nice.
Did we meet anyone else?
We see Arium exists. Arium gets a
Yeah.
name before Detmer does.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, she's the new robot head.
More robot heads.
This is actually, I think, the first Arium.
Yes.
Because doesn't she end up being allergic to makeup or something? Yeah, no, I think the actress has stopped being... I think, again, it's like an allergy, makeup allergy or something, because they actually write a new character for her.
Who's
Well,
not
sure.
under the makeup.
Yeah. So I don't think it was just like she left or was fired. I think it was an allergic reaction.
Well, we'll have to see when we get there.
Yeah.
What else? Who else?
The pilot of the shuttle is actually someone later.
Is it Bryce?
Bryce. I can never remember Bryce's name.
No one can.
Bryce and Reese. I can always remember Reese's name, but I can't remember Bryce's
from
name.
the shuttle get blasted out of the shuttle?
No, No, sorry. The shuttle brings them to the Glen.
I thought you meant the
Sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
did they ever go back and save that pilot from the
God, no.
shuttle?
Dead, big time.
No,
But
Lorca doesn't care.
That was another thing I found very confusing and stupid, is even bothering, like, what was the purpose?
The porpoise?
What was the porpoise, Orca, of having...
So that you could have that reveal shot of the Discovery coming in.
Yeah, but I mean, it could still be, what if it were just a Klingon attack or something? Like, why does it, like, what, it just seemed like a weird scene.
Well,
why did the pilot mysteriously fly out, like, get sucked away from the ship?
think
what happened?
the idea is Discovery dumped that creature there to intercept the shuttle.
That's what you read out of that?
Yeah.
Oh,
seems-
shit.
I mean,
100%, because Lorca
was-
even says that he...
Yeah, it was
He
definitely...
got that pilot killed?
It was definitely orchestrated by...
Lorchestrated?
It was definitely orchestrated.
I don't think he was necessarily, I don't think he cares that the pilot died, but the pilot dying wasn't necessarily part of the plan. It was just they needed to come across this creature that was going to disable their shuttle, and they were going to swoop in and save them. Again, I think
I missed this.
the pilot dying wasn't necessarily, part of it, but again, Lorca didn't give a fuck, you know?
But Burnham even says at some point that the shuttle had changed course.
Yeah.
So
She wasn't told she was getting transferred, which they normally do.
yeah.
And then the shuttle changed course for no reason. They were totally set. In one of those 300 discrete labs or whatever, they had this species. Lorca had Landry dump it there.
I mean, I don't know
They
why...
could have just intercepted it anyway.
Yeah, if they already ordered the shuttle on a new course, it could have just been
It
that...
could have just been going to the Discovery.
Like Lorca is like, oh, I'm going to put in a call to Badmiral somebody to be like, hey, I hear you're moving that Burnham character. Send her my way. I want to get in on some of that.
It didn't have to be so elaborate. But
It was very...
it
It was out of place, weird, and that pilot died for no reason.
Theory, even though I know this is not true, Lorca is an undercover Romulan.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Or maybe there's some Romulan way back in his family. Back then, Romulan was hiding out on Earth as part of, he'd been surgically altered to look human, fell in love with fortune cookies, was like, I'm staying. Defected.
I do
Took over a fortune cookie company somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Sold them as
Married into
crumbs.
it. Married into it.
Let's talk about Michael this episode, because Michael is more interesting in this episode than I think she was in the two-parter, because she's someone who we learn is irredeemable, and she does not even want to be redeemed at all. She has accepted, I'm going to die in this shuttle. Great. Oh, I'm going to die in this prison. Fine, I deserve it. She thinks she deserves everything she is getting and doesn't want to fight for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they consistently make it a point throughout the episode that she's incredibly skilled and talented and is probably the only person that can solve.
Yeah, Cyril even fights for her
problems.
in these rounds.
Yeah, so and obviously when she's on the away team, she's the only one that can save them. So I think that's an interesting.
Oh yeah, the start of a trend.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they won't do that every week, but
I mean, yeah, again,
Lol.
she's just doing her bit.
yeah,
I think with this one, it's a little more a group effort. She makes herself bait.
yeah,
Which is a pretty normal Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
Also,
she has accepted, if anyone should die, it should be me.
Yeah,
fine.
it works for the character.
Do it.
Yeah, we know she doesn't care. So, yeah, it makes sense, even though, sure, why not? Not going to kill those, piss it off. Like that. That's funny.
We did don't. Red shirt guy, though.
Yeah. Oh, no, don't shoot him. Just make him angry.
It's cool that we have a new pet. I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
yeah, but it's definitely, when we see Lorca's House of Horrors with all the skeletons and shit, it's like, oh, okay, it's a little odd.
Yeah.
He's
the
a weird guy.
skeleton was an odd choice.
Yeah, TOS nod.
Was the Gorn something that we knew about prior to Arena, or did we just...
Strange New Worlds kind of retcons that a little bit.
Oh, that's true. I guess
Actually, technically that retconned it.
Which one?
The skeleton in his...
Okay.
Yeah, because Strange New
In his
Worlds
closet?
comes after this.
Yeah, I think in Arena they'd like... It was sort of a Romulan situation, kind of, where like they'd encountered ships before, but maybe not Gorn directly, but I don't quite remember. It's been a while.
But, honestly, overall, I thought this was a really good episode.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I think this episode worked great as a series premiere.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish they'd started it here.
Yeah. I read that, so they had to give this, I think it sounds like they gave it a TVMA rating.
Because of all the death?
Because of all the... Yeah,
Gore.
all the gore, basically.
Yeah,
the people twisted inside out and all that
ugh.
shit.
That's what those transporter accident victims looked like in
Basically.
TMP.
Yeah, even though it sounds like Akiva Goldsman was saying, like, oh, the producers wanted it to be watchable for families. And it's like, this
Whoa,
film is
son.
not.
you missed the mark, bro.
Holy Hannah,
This
yeah.
is not where you bring your kids to watch
Yeah.
this show.
This is,
Mutilated
were these
corpses.
people the ones that made fucking the Watership Down cartoon and thought that would be a nice thing for kids?
If it's a cartoon, it's for kids.
Just ask the Japanese.
I mean, to be fair, we were watching shit worse than this as kids.
Well, I was watching the Watership Down
Not-
over and over again.
Not really me. I was not one of those kids that like checked out horror shit too young. I still don't really.
I mean, I've told you the RoboCop story.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved all the scenes between Saru and Michael because
Yeah.
him talking about the ways people treat fear differently,
Mhm.
really nice coming from a Kelpian. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. And he
Yeah.
was so sassy. His line is,
Mhm.
"You were always a good officer
Until you weren't."
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, mic drop Saru.
And that's a line that would be easy to fuck up. Like Doug Jones does.
Oh, yeah.
Especially considering again most of his roles, he's a guy in a suit who doesn't say anything.
Now he's a guy in a suit that talks all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like wow, he could have been talking for years, and fuck.
I love Doug Jones.
Oh, I fucking. One thing I can't quite remember, and I guess we'll have to see, is I feel like they eventually drop that weird little click thing he does.
I haven't noticed it.
Click thing?
Yeah, well, like a lot of times before he talks, there'll be like a little.
I think that's part of his fear response.
Oh, maybe.
And there's some plot details in the future that deal with it.
Maybe. Or again, I just got so used to it that I just stopped noticing it at some point, but for some reason I noticed it again. Speaking vaguely of the future, so when I was looking up the convicts,
Okay.
because I thought one of them was someone else. Cold is Lek in season 5. Lek being a major character in the 5th season, for those who haven't seen it yet.
Oh, me.
Which one was
Lek,
cold?
Lek.
The basically main male antagonist.
Locke?
Locke, did I say Locke?
I say Lek. Lek is the Ferengi from...
Yeah.
You're right. Yes, Locke. He's Locke
Okay.
in season 5.
Oh, good.
He's also apparently in Star Trek Resurgence, which I still need to play.
A couple other little notes. Breath scans seem like a terrible fucking
Yeah,
security
what the
measure.
fuck is that?
Bad idea.
That literally is only there so it could be something that is easily hackable for the story.
So easily. Like in 5 minutes.
Like, how is you've got retina scans. You've got thumbprints.
Yeah.
You've got genetic
even
fucking...
like vocal code.
You know,
whatever.
anything.
You know what's funny is we just this week, as a matter of fact, are rewatching the Alien franchise films, and in Alien
All 2 of them?
Resurrection,
Oh.
actually, I'm coming around. I actually think the prequels aren't as bad as people think it.
I heard the new one was really good.
The Romulus is really good. We just watched that yesterday. That's like a true, like, in a way, return to form in a lot of ways.
To like the original Alien?
Yeah, I mean, it's
got a lot of the same beats,
It's a
which
lot of
I
the same
don't
beats.
I don't mind.
it blends a lot of concepts from the other films. There's a few things I don't care for in it, I'll say, but like visually, it's very, very much after like the Ridley Scott era, Alien.
Yeah, that man had an eye for hiring the right fucking people for a cool look. Like, Alien and Blade Runner are just films that pull a weird sort of beauty out of real just stuff that is usually quite just ugly.
Anyway, Jake was bringing
Yes.
up
Anyway, yeah. So I was going to bring up in Alien Resurrection, the 4th one,
the best one.
according to no one.
The one with the most Brad Durr,
one-
and therefore
the
it
one
gets
with
so
the
many
most
extra
Brad Durr.
points from me.
That one, like they're
So great.
they're and all of like the doors are breath print locked.
Why?
And like
That's
it's
not
played
a
as
thing.
it's played as a joke, and like they literally do the exact same thing that Burnham does.
Oh yeah, Winona Ryder comes out
Winona
with
Ryder
the
has
spray
a little
sprayer.
spritzer to trick the breath print thing.
So wait, was this a fucking Alien Resurrection reference?
They totally lifted this whole thing from Alien Resurrection, which is hilarious to me.
Okay, new thing. Again, because we know Lorca is secretly part Romulan and likes an overly convoluted plan. He's like, all right. Like, one day he comes in, he's like, Stamets, we're putting in this breath print thing. He's like, why? I need it for a needlessly convoluted plan.
Yeah.
Also, I really like Alien Resurrection, so that's where I got the idea.
He's a big Brad Dourif fan, this guy.
I mean, but that's the thing, though. Like, it doesn't make sense if you can trick the thing by having a sample of somebody's saliva and
what
a
happens
spritzer.
if you just kissed someone a lot?
Yeah.
What happens if you have garlic on your breath?
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
yeah, if you normally breathe, there's like, Lieutenant Stamets, welcome. If you've just eaten garlic, it's like, oh, fuck!
Lieutenant Stamets, damn it! Take a mint! Also, what's really dumb is it announces who's going in, which is fine. Because you think that way, if someone does try to pull this move, and you're in the room, you go, you're not Tilly. There was a guy in the room who didn't go, you're not Tilly. Like, they even cut to a guy who was sitting there.
Not my job, not my problem.
Seriously.
Specifically, they've been avoiding Michael so much because everyone is assholes.
True. Well, but also, chances are, because Lorca said he knew she broke in, so, like, the order had probably been, keep an eye on her. She's gonna break in eventually. Let me know when she does.
But why not just let her in?
Who the fuck?
Why not just be
because
like...
Lorca
he
is
wants,
weird.
He wants to know that she can be, like, morally compromised, because he's morally compromised. Like, that's a big... He's trying to see something spoilery.
Yeah, I love Jake's... I forget how you said it when it was happening on the when we were doing our watch yesterday. And he's like, oh yes, Michael, who said she doesn't care about anything and would rather die and blah, blah, blah. Suddenly really invested in seeing what's in this room.
No. What I said was like... So, like, Michael Burnham's been given this incredible second chance, this opportunity, and the first fucking thing that she does is break in, like, against...
Also true.
Like, break into the secured area.
I thought that too, but then I realized, like, the thing is, she doesn't know this is going to turn into a full-time position.
But why is she even, like...
Because she's...
Remember 5 minutes ago when she was like, I live by Starfleet, and by God, I'm going to die by Starfleet, or whatever. It's like, ma'am?
At the end of the day, she is needlessly curious, as a scientist ought to be, I guess. And
hates the rules.
She's like, I'm already sentenced to life in prison.
That's
I want to know what this is before I get shipped off again. So fuck it. Why not?
That's true. Had she seen the melted corpses yet?
No. No.
Because I was like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't fuck around on this shit.
Yeah, no. I think if she'd seen that, like, you know what? I don't want to know.
I'm going to stay the fuck out of there.
Nope.
There's corpse melting material, perhaps.
Yep.
She saw Stamets brush the glitter off his sleeve. She was like, rave? I want to go.
That would be just go, and it's just a bunch of people, just EDM and Molly, or Space Molly, I guess.
Well, mushrooms, I think, in this case, wouldn't
it?
It?
Good point.
Space Molly O'Brien.
Speaking of mushrooms, last thing I wanted to bring up. Oh boy, were they heavy-handed with the Alice in Wonderland shit.
Oh, yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, that was, we didn't stop it.
Don't just quote Alice in Wonderland. Like, that's not a cute thing. It's not, like I said, subtext is for kings. Come on, people.
Star Trek likes quoting literature, yes. There's subtler ways to do it. I also find it funny.
But like 2 weeks ago, we liked this aspect, I thought.
Which aspect?
Her quoting Alice in Wonderland to herself. Didn't we like just say last week or 2 weeks ago?
This is the first time she's quoted Alice in Wonderland.
Didn't it come up in a recording? Did you and I talk about it?
Nope.
Off screen?
No.
I was talking to somebody about it, and I would have sworn it was... Oh, maybe... You know what it was? Sam and I were talking about Discovery.
Even if she just didn't quote so much, it could have been
But it's a real thing, though. It's like a soothing thing. It's her way of, like, keeping herself calm.
We're never going to see her do it again.
Well, I know, but... No, wait a minute. She does. She quotes... Doesn't she quote Alice in Wonderland when she's doing the flyby?
Oh, did...
I'm pretty sure she does.
I don't know. No, I can't remember.
Well, anyway, I think it's actually... I think it's kind of cool.
Fair enough. It is funny.
But it is too much. I mean... She doesn't have to do, like, 8 pages.
Yeah,
she just do, like, a little.
Yeah, and she should do, like, the known quotes, not the quotes that no one knows.
Oh, I don't know. If they were doing the known quotes, I think we'd be annoyed by that as well.
That's true. I would still be annoyed by that. But
It is funny, though, because you say, that's how I learned the world could not be logical. My understanding, I might be wrong about this, but I think the whole thing is Lewis partly wrote Alice in Wonderland because he was very upset about, like, certain new theories that he felt were idiotic and illogical, basically. So it's like, oh, that wasn't the lesson he wanted you to take.
So here's the thing, though. In Shore Leave, Spock had no idea who the White Rabbit was.
Oh, no!
But in Once Upon a Planet, in TAS, I think it's Once Upon a Planet, the one where they go back to shore leave, he tells somebody, and I forget why or how, about, I think Amanda telling him about Alice in Wonderland or something.
Oh.
Wow, so
by that episode, he knows Alice in Wonderland.
Okay. So
It's
they've
canon while also not being
they've
canon.
retconned Spock's knowledge of Alice in Wonderland already. Well, that's good.
Maybe he was just making fun of McCoy. White Rabbit?
If I was stuck on a ship with McCoy and I was Spock, I would probably make fun of him.
Cute.
I mean, that was just part of their whole kink, was just...
They're kink.
Just fucking with each other a bit.
Yeah, so good episode. I'm teased.
If
I was, because I don't think I was teased by our prologue episodes, but I think by this I'm like, okay, I want to see what's happening.
Yeah, now I feel like we're in something.
Yeah,
I feel like I want to know more.
You could have still filmed those first 2 episodes, but like you said, I think we could have started here, and all that footage could have been flashbacks over the course of the next
We could have
couple
done
of
like
episodes.
the menagerie.
Or that.
That's what I said.
Yes.
I already said that.
Well, I'm segueing us smoothly into Marble Activity, you
that
see.
menagerie.
Very smooth.
Because what I want to talk about, because last week
a very smooth transition.
we talked about pilots, we talked about finales, and I decided just for the fun of it, I want to look back on any of our multi-part episodes and see what makes a multi-part episode tick. Because going forward from Discovery onward, even when they have episodes that are like blah blah part 1, blah blah part 2, it's not a multi-part. It's a serial season.
Yeah.
So we don't really get multi-part episodes anymore. Like the Menagerie, or like a whole bunch of them from TNG, which we're going to talk about today.
How many of them are we going to talk about today?
9.
That's a lot.
Well, we're gonna
Let's be quick.
We're gonna be quicker than we were in the last ones, because I think what we want to talk about is why was this a 2-parter, and the Menagerie has a very solid reason why the Menagerie is a 2-parter.
Literally
They
2
had
episodes.
They had to fill.
Yeah, they had 2 time slots, and they already had enough material for 1.
Yeah. Like, really, Menagerie is Star Trek's first clip show.
Yeah.
Ha! Great, but we hadn't seen the clips before.
Right,
we hadn't seen the
that's the thing.
We just weren't aware.
When
It's like the Clerks cartoon clip show.
yeah. That's the thing. It's like, in the retrospective, we all now have access to the cage. Like, it's a little different than when the initial audience would have seen it, where this was all new.
Yeah.
But made for the same reason that you make a clip show, which
Yes.
is, I want to make an episode quick and cheaply.
Yeah,
using
I want to
something I
save
already
the money, and I already have this footage, so I don't have to do a lot of work.
But again, at the time, incredibly clever use of something that otherwise was just, as far as they knew, never going to be utilized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid episode, the cage everyone likes. I think it's a good episode.
I think generally, like, the way that they structure it is fine. I think there are times when it's sloggy. Watching people watch an episode of Star Trek gets a little boring.
Yeah, like, that thing is, in this day and age where we have access to the cage, I'll probably just watch the cage.
Yeah, imagine, though, watching that episode when it first aired and not understanding what it was. Because you're looking at it, you're like, this is really bizarre.
Yeah.
Because it's like 2 episodes grafted together with completely different casts.
And this is like before you had, the internet and all and like fanzines even didn't exist yet. So as far as you knew as a viewer, they had to have filmed all of that new.
Ha.
Like, wow, they redressed the bridge, they got different units. This must have cost a pretty penny.
Why is Chapel here?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah. I remember, it's been ages since I actually saw the Menagerie in full.
You got the Spock mutiny.
Yeah.
They have enough, because they had to create the frame story for watching another episode of Star Trek, so they stretched it out, and I think it was successful in saving them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And also still having a Star Trek episode to show for it.
Yeah, and you get an interesting little, frame thing,
And we got Pike, which led to an even more consequential Pike later.
True.
Yeah.
Which is, thank goodness.
And we see what happens to Pike. Which, that is pretty good. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, and of course it introduced everyone to the BB chair, possibly one of the most iconic non-alien things from Star Trek.
I heard, For whatever reason, I heard you say the pee-pee chair.
The pee-pee chair. Oh, God.
No.
Well,
I mean,
What do you think he's doing in there?
There is almost definitely a catheter involved.
Oh,
Poor
no.
guy.
oh, he's just sitting over a cauldron. Moving forward into, because by the time we get to TNG, we have a bunch more two-parters, and they come in two varieties. We have either the series finale, season finale, season premiere two-parters split over a break, or just the two in a season that air back to back or air week to week. And the first we get is the Best of Both Worlds, which is a season finale, season premiere one, because they had that several months break for you to stew.
Yeah, good use of it.
Amazing
not a great payoff.
Yeah, amazing cliffhanger. Wet fart of a follow-up.
Is that the Borg one?
Yeah. Fire. What is it? It's just like doesn't work or whatever or something.
The reveal it just kind of fell flat because the reveal is that it didn't work because Picard taught the Borgs how to defeat them, basically. So it is kind of badass in that sense. But yeah, I agree that like the finale doesn't live up as well to the hype.
Yeah, I just think as this is our cliffhanger moment, like one of the best cliffhangers Star Trek has given us.
It's a
Yeah.
great one.
Or much of television to begin with.
Oh yeah, it's famously a great cliffhanger. What's next?
Next, because Jake is just plowing us forward.
I know. You said we got 9 to get through. We've done 2, so.
Okay, well, next is Redemption, another series finale, series premiere.
Great
season finale.
Great episode done dirty by having Sela.
Was that a good cliffhanger? The Sela reveal?
Terrible cliffhanger because you already knew it was Sela by that point because you could see her because they didn't properly shadow her. And also,
but on an older TV, you might.
And also, just like the line is kind of stupid. Humans appear in the.
Woof. What was it?
She was like it was. I'm paraphrasing. It was like. That's one thing about humans. They show up when you least expect them. And it was so fucking stupid.
That's dumb.
They have a way of recasting actors.
We're back.
Yeah.
They were. They were so bad.
Yeah, total Romulan cliffhanger line. Yeah.
Definitely doesn't live up to, I would say, the Best of Both Worlds cliffhanger as a cliffhanger.
But I like a lot of things about that as just as an episode, and I've said before I like the Klingon Civil War plot. I like the Duras sisters. I like.
And isn't this?
Oh yeah, Duras sisters are great.
Oh yeah, yeah. There wasn't enough going on to spread across the two parts.
Yeah.
Which is I thought those were the two types of two-parters you were going to talk about. The two-parters that could have been one episode and should have been, and the two-parters that deserve to be a two-parter.
There are very few that deserve to be a two-parter.
I know it.
Yeah, like reunification, for example.
Oh, that's the next one we're going to talk about, and it's just unification.
Yeah, it's just.
Did that also have
whatever.
Sela?
That did have
Sela. Another Sela two-parter. This one just in the middle of a season.
Yeah.
Could have been one episode.
It could have been one episode. It certainly doesn't need to be 3 episodes. Spoiler alert. So yeah.
Wait, what?
There's a Unification
there's
3
an episode.
Discovery.
Unification 3 is an episode of Discovery.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Does Sela show up?
I hope not.
I'm not going to tell you.
I don't think so.
I feel like that was the thing. Is like I feel like a lot of the, just in general, I feel like we tended. I feel like most two-parters we were like, this could have been one.
Yeah. This felt stretched.
I mean, it was
we're watching like some side plot happening, and we don't care.
Well, and once you find out that it was intended to be a marketing tie-in for Undiscovered Country, just so they could get Nimoy in.
Forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems stupid to make a whole second episode of something so you can have like an extra 2 minutes of plot that you really needed.
Yeah.
It's not a good. It wasn't a great one-part episode. I think it could have easily been reworked.
The most enraging part is that they never got their soup.
Right.
That's true. They ordered that.
Well, they got their soup. They just need their soup.
Yeah, they walked away.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Didn't they wind up in like a bar fight or something? Am I thinking of a different episode?
You're thinking of a different episode, I think. So, well, they end up. Or you might be thinking of Gambit, where they're in a bar.
That's
was
later
there
on the
soup
list. That's
in a
much
bar
later
and
on the list.
then okay, fair enough.
Yeah. There's a lot of episodes. For some reason, in two-parters, they go to bars a lot.
That's because they have to find things for the other characters to do.
Because I think in Times Arrow they're at a bar.
Oh, hey, we're going to talk about Times Arrow right now.
Oh, interesting.
That's another one that's a season finale, season premiere.
Chris, what do you think about this one?
First half's great, second half's trash.
The whole thing's trash. Well, remind me what even the cliffhanger was. Was it just Data stuck in the past?
No, it was
What
I'm Mark
it?
Twain.
Fuck all that. See,
You know,
the fact that I can't even remember what the cliffhanger was is kind of proving against your point, Chris.
Was this was a mid-season?
No, this was the final episode of season 5 and the first
what a
episode of
bummer.
season 6.
Imagine you waited 3 months just for Times Arrow Part 2.
Yeah, the fucking Samuel Clemens character was
God,
stupid.
he needs to talk less.
The alien monsters were kind of stupid. You know, I wonder if that episode would have been more or less stupid if it had been, instead of traveling back to, you know, the turn of the century, if they had traveled back to
Dinosaur times.
present day.
Oh, they do that so
I know.
often.
Well,
though.
I know, but like, it's just it's hard to relate to it. I think in a lot of ways because it's like, okay, I don't give a shit about these fucking old timers.
I mean, the thing is, it could have been fun, you know? It's like, but Mark Twain wouldn't shut the fuck up.
I could see it like as a TNG does Star Trek 4 kind of thing, you know, fish out of water stuff.
TNG does Future's End.
Well, Future's End hadn't happened yet.
What?
Yeah.
No, that happened in the 90s.
Yeah.
Is that the one with Sarah Silverman?
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
We'll talk about her
That's
in a
further
couple
down
of
the
weeks.
list.
Yeah.
Much further down.
For another day.
For
Are
another
we talking
week.
about all of the two-parters of TNG?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's only a couple left. Because next is Chain of Command, which is in the middle of a season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Chain of Command.
That's there
Jellicoe.
are 4 lights.
Oh, that's a great... I feel like that could be a 2-parter.
I think I said it at the time. I feel like the second part is amazing. The first part...
Needed work.
Yeah, because it's like, they wanted to get to the great shit in the second part, but they wanted to save it for the second part. So it feels like there's a lot of padding in the first half.
I feel like they just used the wrong characters in the first half. Like, having it be Worf and Bev, who are the people who go on this away mission with Picard,
Yeah.
just because they were the recognizable characters.
Well, also, I do think they take a lot of time in the because almost everything good about this episode that you remember is from part 2.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like all the good moments are in part 2.
Like, I think I said at the time, but like, it doesn't make sense to send these people on a fucking covert mission anyway.
Well, it's because Picard was an expert in
Yeah,
the fucking
look,
specific thing that they...
Just make it a
identified.
one-parter, and Picard was captured on his way to a conference.
Yeah.
Whenever TNG characters went to conferences, something bad happened to them.
Yep.
You can lose that whole first half, and you can just have the really good bits with David Warner.
Doesn't that carry on to DS9 as well?
What?
Conferences going around?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't
actually, yeah.
Julian get nabbed on his way to a conference?
He gets nabbed twice.
Yeah.
Once by Section 31.
Once by
And don't-
change.
and don't
once
they get
by-
O'Brien
Oh, 3
also?
times actually, because then he doesn't really get nabbed, but he gets Section 31 again.
Yeah.
Recruits him. He doesn't get nabbed,
Just-
but he
just-
gets sucked into their plot.
Don't go to conferences. And actually, doesn't someone actually go to a conference somehow? In Voyager and something bad happens?
Yes.
Like, you're not even in your own space. You got invited to a conference, which is insane. Don't go to conferences if you're a Star Trek
passing
character.
through.
Who
We
goes
hear
to
you
the
have a
conference?
conference.
Is it Neelix?
No,
It might be Neelix.
somebody go. Anyway, that's not the
Anyway.
point of this blog tidbit.
Yeah,
we'll
that's
do
not the
we'll
point
do
of
a
it.
conference episode later.
It's not a bad idea, to
funny.
be honest, you know?
That's a good one. But yeah, Chain of Command, as long as we can also retain Jellicoe, because I do think he adds a lot to the show.
Jellicoe.
Oh,
There's-
It's the
Jellicoe.
Christmas version of Jellicoe.
I mean, yeah, maybe he's gone missing, and for some reason they decide instead of just having Will take over, they're like, look, the Cardass.
Jellicoe's gone missing?
No, Picard.
Oh.
They're like, look, Riker, I know, like, you should be acting captain right now, but this is tense. The Cardis are involved, and this guy's good with them, so we're putting him in charge.
Yeah, that would work.
There we go. And
Yeah,
I've made
and-
it a one-parter.
And he got Troy to put on a proper uniform.
Yes,
Which,
please.
yes,
11 out of 10. No
Yeah.
notes for
Okay,
Jellicoe.
here's one that definitely should have been a one-parter, and god damn it,
Gambit?
Birthright.
Oh yeah, Birthright was terrible.
That's the Worf finds a colony of half Klingon,
And
half
also
Romulans.
Data has a dream.
But Data Has a Dream is only in the first
I
part
know.
because they ran out of story for it. Because it should not have been in this two-parter.
And they're also in a bar. in
Should it
this
have
one.
been in any parter? Was the story worth telling at all in any capacity?
I think, yeah, it was bad. It was just dumb.
There was really no It never comes up again.
They had the girl who played Libby as his love interest, and she was not very
she
good.
was terrible. Libby.
We got
bad
Jimmy
in
Cromwell
universe.
under some makeup.
That I'd keep.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Keep that for something else.
Yeah, I love Jimmy Cromwell.
Yeah, Birthright, just the pacing
Birthright
of
was
Birthright
terrible.
is terrible.
It's almost as bad as Gambit.
And it's like,
He so wants to get to Gambit.
we're playing fucking hoop and stick with our ancestral weapons, and War's like, oh my god.
It just seems so inconsequential.
It really is.
Like,
and I don't even
Worf doesn't even learn much.
He never
No.
does. Whenever Romulans are involved, he's just mad.
It reminds him that he's racist, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, this."
Well, yeah. Well, it said that his parents survived. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's something he
Something.
learns, but that never comes up
Okay,
again.
would you keep any of the Data dreaming plot for anything?
No.
Lose that entirely?
I mean,
I did like seeing him out of makeup as a young Sung. That was nice.
That was. I mean,
That's just
maybe
for
that's
me.
just in a different episode entirely. As an A plot, I think that was only here because they wanted to shoehorn Siddig into the cast.
Oh God, they did.
That was this one. Okay, yeah.
Yes, you're right.
I knew he showed up at some point. I couldn't remember.
To shoot Data with a laser for no fucking reason,
Yeah.
like a maniac.
Does your hair grow?
Oh, strange man.
Deeply.
Yeah.
Got two more before Jake gets to the one that he really wants to seem to talk about for some reason.
I just want to get through it.
We're almost done. But first we have to talk about Descent, which is another season finale, season premiere, with Lore and Borg. I didn't hate it. I like Lore and I like Borg. And Hugh.
Doesn't that have
Oh, we like Hugh.
Beverly's crazy maneuver?
Yeah, Beverly
The
flies
I call it
into a
Beverly.
sun.
The sun maneuver.
See, I told ya.
That's a cool maneuver. That was one of those few moments where they gave her something to do, and it was great.
They sure did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
There
mind.
wasn't
I don't know that.
fucking
I don't know
ghosts.
that this needed to be a two-parter. I think it could. I think this could have worked just
Well,
as well.
they loved because, like as I said, a bunch of these are the season finale cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Come back next season.
Like the
do
problem,
the thing.
that's the problem. Is like they kind of got high off of Best of Both Worlds, and they were chasing the dragon ever since.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely one of those ones where it feels like, because I feel like at the time we were even saying like it could have been. The problem is they always then need to, even when
finish the story.
Well, no, but even when they make like sort of an extra long episode that they show once, like, like the series premieres and finales were always like feature length. Feature length. That's what I wanted. The problem is they still have to be long enough that when they divide it into 2 episodes to play in syndication later, it's got to work out.
Yeah.
If they didn't have that restriction, they could have just made a 90-minute episode and cut out 30 minutes of fluff. I mean, 30 before commercials. It probably would have been better. That's the issue we'd come across a lot, is like, it's just, stuff could have been tightened, but then it would have fallen short of their necessary time slot thing.
Yeah, but even so, I just think that not every season straddling episode needs to be a two-parter.
God, no.
You
No,
can
it's
just
true.
end a season with one episode and start the next season with another episode. That's fine.
Like, I think,
DS9 did it a bunch.
Well, they had that one really good one where it wasn't a cliffhanger per se, but they set up the idea of the Jem'Hadar and the Dominion, and they're like, well, this is something I guess we're going to be dealing with next season.
Yeah,
but the story itself was concluded.
Yeah, doesn't the next season open with the search?
It does, I believe.
Yeah, so we.
Oh, see, I consider that a 3-parter. The Jem'Hadar, the Search, and the Search Part 2.
But it's not a cliffhanger. It's just the Search and the Search Part 2 were definitely a 2-parter.
Right.
But the Jem'Hadar,
Well, we're going to talk about them next week, so...
Okay,
Yeah,
fair
okay.
enough.
Keep this ready for next week.
We will.
Fair.
In our 2-second
See, I was thinking of the one that's basically the thing with Eddington being a changeling, even though he claims he's not definitely a changeling. That one's just a season ender, and then it sets up the next season for more changeling shenanigans.
What was the deal with the circle? We'll get to
that.
it.
Yeah, that's next week.
That's next week. But we have one more that Jake really wants to talk about this week, and that's Gambit.
Oh, my favorite episode.
Oh, throwing all the cards that explode?
What?
I'm gonna make a name for myself out here.
It's a superhero.
Gambit the X-Man.
Oh, it's an X-Man, sure.
And my reference was specifically to his role in Deadpool.
I've seen none of these movies.
No, I haven't seen it either.
So Gambit. Patrick Stewart fucking loves this episode.
I remember us saying...
Because he gets to do fucking badass shit.
Neat. When we covered this episode, saying this is one that actually kept the pace for a 2-parter, which was shocking at the time. Because
true.
So many of the other ones, like Unification and Chain of Command, didn't have the pacing right.
It had enough material for 2 parts.
You know what? New rule. Patrick Stewart has to stay the fuck out of the writer's room.
Yeah. Yeah, great actor. But that's where it ends, Pat.
Yeah, because like every time, because like I know that he pushed them to do this episode because he wanted Picard to have like an adventure. It just doesn't work for him as a character. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. I hated, like, you're right, the pacing was probably fine on this one, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the captain of the pirate ship.
Idiot.
The fucking David Bowie guy.
Wasn't Robin Curtis a Romulan?
Yeah, she was.
And Robin
She might have
Curtis
still
was
been a Vulcan. I forget.
I don't remember. But she was in it.
She was a
Yeah.
Vulcan without logic, perhaps?
Maybe.
Something weird.
A Vino, as we say in Vulcan circles. Vulcan in name only.
Wow.
Jesus.
Like Michael Burnham. Wait. She's the
God,
opposite.
that whole
She's
exchange.
Oh my
I forgot
god,
about
what was
that.
the fucking point? You're a Vulcan? No. Or I was expecting a Vulcan. Oh, there might have been some confusion. On my part? Yeah.
No? Yeah.
And then, like, why we're bringing up the Beatles? They still talking about the Beatles? Really?
I
So,
mean,
in 300 years? Maybe.
the thing is, it's an obvious pull. They could have maybe gone with a less obvious band, but we are still talking about certain composers 300 years later, so...
Yeah, this is that's the most recent pop culture reference you've ever had in Star Trek.
Oh, that's right. She's a Vulcan, like, intelligence agent posing as a Romulan.
Yeah, which we said that should not be possible because Vulcans can't act.
And neither can Robin Curtis.
Hey, there you go, Jay!
Poor Robin
Ew.
Curtis.
Who's Robin Curtis again?
She's
Saavik from part 3.
Yeah, second
She's
second
awful.
Saavik.
Yeah, she's bad. Sloppy second Saavik.
Oofda. Oofda. On so many levels.
Yeah. Oh, gross. I didn't mean that.
No.
Oh, God, that's right!
Ew,
Oh.
I wasn't even thinking that. I was just...
Oh, I always manage to forget that part of that movie because it's upsetting.
It's so upsetting.
Jerk off my fingers.
This is
So,
the
yeah.
name of the next episode?
Yep.
What is it?
I'll say it in a minute.
Jake will tell us in a
I'll
minute.
tell you in a minute. Don't
It's
look.
like
You'll
a
be
parody.
surprised.
I can't read it anyway.
It's like a parody of a TOS
Yeah,
title.
it really is.
So which was your favorite of these two-parters?
Chain of
best
Command.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's either that or the best of both worlds.
Times Arrow Part 1. No.
No, that's not it. That doesn't count.
I know.
You're going to say the menagerie, aren't you?
The menagerie is good, to be fair.
It's probably... Yeah, because I think with a lot of them, it's like, I like half of it a lot, but then the other half is a letdown.
That's the theme. That's why I wanted to talk about them a little bit. Just to
I
say,
think
guys.
The menagerie is the only one where both parts work, so I'm going with the
And the
menagerie.
the problem I have with the menagerie is it's like, it's just a clip show.
Well, see, nowadays, I would just watch The Cage.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think
Probably.
in retrospect, I have trouble giving, because to me it's just shades of gray, with like a loose frame story around a clip show.
Again, at the time, they didn't have The Cage, so...
Yeah, exactly.
it was-
So yeah, at the time, probably you're right. But-
and it's still, it still holds up in its own way.
I also give a couple of points to Descent, because Descent is another one that kept me interested throughout the whole thing, which I can't say that about most of these two-parters.
That's the thing is, I haven't watched that one recently enough to know how I feel about it. I might like that one more than I remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember disliking it, but it didn't leave a huge
When
impression.
we're counting it as the full 90 minutes of episode, like that one is making me think things.
Yeah.
Like, as much as, I love Best of Both Worlds, it's like there comes a point where it's like, okay, we're wrapping this up? We got to get in here?
Oh boy. Yes, I also want to go to sleep, Stuart. I'm getting a little bored.
What's interesting about Best of Both Worlds, though, if you think about it, it is undoubtedly one of the most in-universe consequential episodes, because it affects like DS9,
All of Picard.
all of Picard,
All of it.
all of DS9,
A good amount of Voyager.
a good amount of like Wolf 359 is such a pivotal event in history.
Yeah.
Emissary.
And that's the thing is like because they created an event that was that important, it should have that much knock-on impact down the line. Though again, the sort of the idea in the fandom that the Borg are inextricably linked to Picard comes from all that. Whereas I think now in retrospect, it's like, yeah, but I think at the end of the day, the Borg, I mean, the writers have said otherwise, but I think the Borg would be more obsessed with Janeway at this point. She has foiled them more often and with greater consequence to them than he ever did.
And with greater gusto.
Yeah, she enjoys fucking with them.
Wolf 359 is Starfleet's Praxis.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah, actually.
Take that
Yeah,
to the bank.
fuck. A lot of their fleet's lost. Yeah.
Or is it also Starfleet's whatever Nero did?
Well, it could. Well, that's
I
all.
don't know.
But that's also Starfleet's whatever Nero did. Nero is Starfleet's Nero.
Oh yeah, that is still Starfleet.
Well,
but for Romulus.
It's-
That's Romulan's supernova.
Yeah, which is, Praxis exploded and fucked some stuff up.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'll talk about more 2-parters.
And 3-parters.
And 3-parters.
And potential season arcs.
7-parters.
That 10-parter. Jesus Christ, DS9.
Woof.
48-parter. We'll talk about all that and more next week
Oh,
on A Star to Steer Her By.
Woo! This is our first relatively short episode in a while.
Yeah, well,
Yay.
it is what it is.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Jake, for keeping us moving forward and then going on about Gambit, the superhero, or some shit for reasons.
It came up. We were talking about shit.
Lol.
But anyway, next week we'll be talking about more Star Trek Discovery, namely Episode 4,
This fucking title.
The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry.
So dumb! Oh, I didn't remember the episode, but what a fucking title.
Yeah, it's quite the title. Very TOS-y, and I guess that's what they were going for.
For the world is hollow, but I have touched this guy. I don't know. It ends up working. The guy...
Is it just going to be a quote from the episode? Is somebody going to say that?
I don't remember anymore. I hope not.
We'll find out next week.
It sounds like a
some
Lorca
Shakespeare
thing.
shit?
Are they all Lorca quotes, all the episodes?
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah, so we'll be talking about that next week, which of course you can catch on the internet at Spotify. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know if we're on that one.
Okay, well, maybe or maybe not. Check it out. Let us know. But you can definitely find us on Apple.
Let us know.
You can find us on Apple Tunes, iTunes, and Google Tunes, and any other tunes. Pandora? I don't know. I just don't know.
We're on Spotify.
Our main home is SoundCloud.
Yes,
Yeah.
find us on SoundCloud and find us on sshbpodcast.com. We're also on Facebook, X. And
Nope. We got rid of the X.
Oh, we're
No
not,
more X.
No more
Down
X.
with the
We
X.
have X'd out X, so fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy, dude.
Big time. But we, probably other social media. I don't know.
No, we're not.
Probably.
Really just Facebook.
Okay, well, then
And
fine.
Tumblr.
Then fine. Facebook.
Truth.
Yeah, Tumblr. I was
Just
getting
kidding,
to
we're
that.
not-
Tumblr, where this will have a blog entry about 2-parters coming soon to a blogger.
Part 1 of many.
In fact, it's probably already up, so go there now. SSHB Podcast, Tumblr. And yeah, if you listen to us show... Oh, you can also use an app on your phone if you have one. Star to Steer Her By. is
Play
the name.
Angry
This
Birds
was
or
a short
something.
episode.
Fuck! I'm getting there. I'm almost done. My name is Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This is always Caitlin.
The butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry.
Next week.
Mic drop.
Michael Burnham drop.
I have a question. Oh my god, that notepad is adorable. Sorry, it has nothing to do with this question though.